KREM 2 News begins now.
It's been a busy week for news across the inland Northwest. Let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. Here now is a look at some of the biggest stories from this past week.
All in favor say aye.
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 The Mead School District is officially expressing its support for 2 changes to WIAA policies for gender identity participation in school sports. Eastmont School District is asking WIAA to consider adding language to its student handbook that would say athletic programs are offered separately for boys, girls, and transgender. It says the change would reflect 3 gender-specific categories: boys, girls, and transgender.
The intent of it is to record their time or distances or efforts a little bit differently than the traditional born at birth female, or I should say female at birth.
According to the proposal, Eastmont says 3 gender-specific categories for sports would preserve the equality of opportunity to participate in athletics while simultaneously creating an additional delineating category for differing genders.
Not coming from a place of hate whatsoever. It's coming from the opposite, from a place of inclusion.
Spokane LGBTQ+ advocacy group Odyssey Youth Movement shared a statement on Mead's support for these efforts. The executive director wrote in part, "This draft amendment, just like the resolution language and comments made at the Mead School Board meeting, is drenched in transphobia. Othering and separating out transgender students is not acceptable, and all of our young people deserve better."
Damian Eifert was arrested this morning for second-degree murder, but the first troopers on scene weren't there because of those allegations. A SWAT situation, snarling I-90 traffic near Four Lakes.
That's a standoff.
Wait, actually?
That's a standoff. They've got guns and everything. Look at that.
Started with a WSDOT crew helping a stalled car. The man inside, Damian Eifert, was found sleeping in the back seat. Washington State Patrol Sergeant Greg Riddell says he told them he ran out of gas, but soon those WSDOT workers found themselves waiting for help.
Pierce stolen out of Spokane, East 90, 271.
After the car's plates came back stolen, Eifert threatened responding troopers.
He was barricaded in the car. They said that he told them he has a gun and then reached for his waistband.
And that's when law enforcement learned Eifert was wanted. Spokane police say he is suspected of fatally stabbing his father Tuesday.
He's the one that he killed his dad last night, and one of us is going to die. I think we should probably close it down last night.
The interstate shutdown lasted more than an hour before Eifert was shot with a beanbag and arrested. He's in custody on second-degree murder. The name of the stabbing victim has not been released. It's also not been confirmed whether Eifert actually had a weapon. Sergeant Greg Riddell says one wasn't found on him when he was arrested. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News. Okay.
Greater Spokane Incorporated surveyed 600 registered voters throughout Spokane County to gauge their sentiment on key issues in the region. Some elected leaders are concerned with the results, while others are taking this as a call to action. The survey says the public perception of Spokane County's quality of life is overwhelmingly unfavorable. Participants gave an average index score of 3.6 out of 10, with 10 being the most positive score. According to the survey, voters believe addressing homelessness and public safety would have a significant impact on the quality of life. Spokane City Council member Paul Dillon believes capacity and funding are factors behind this perception.
I think historically we are challenged with the demand and the need for services while not having a lot of the resources to provide those. And that's always been a large disconnect here in the city of Spokane.
Results also detailed top concerns. Half of voters cite homelessness as a top issue facing Spokane, and 40% cite crime and public safety. Turning to visiting downtown Spokane, voters say they feel relatively safe during the day, but at night, that feeling of safety plummets. When asked if they have actively considered moving out of the region, nearly 60% of voters said yes. Spokane City Council member Michael Cathcart sees these results as a call to action.
I think it's a great tool to understand where people are at this moment and how we might be able to improve things and get things on a better track, or hopefully the right track, in terms of the perception of the voters and the constituents that we represent.
And in a statement from Spokane City Council member Jonathan Bingle, he says in part, it is clear that we have failed to protect our citizens and we must prioritize law enforcement to restore safety and security. We've requested reactions to the survey from other Spokane regional leaders. We'll have their responses posted on KREM.com. You can also watch my full unedited interview about the survey with Spokane City Council member Cathcart and Dillon right now on KREM 2+. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
The framework of someone's new life in Coeur d'Alene is now a dark smear of ash on this job site. It's also now Deputy Fire Marshal Craig Etherton's job to put together why and who. He already knows how.
So this one was actually fairly easy. This is a whole bunch of wood that was just standing all by itself doing a whole lot of nothing. There were no electricians had not been in. We hadn't had a lot of trades in doing work.
Arson. Etherton says that's what brought this house down Sunday. There's been building speculation online it could be a repeat offender.
It is almost always the first line of attack for the keyboard warriors is to throw it out to. There's obviously a serial arsonist running around, and serial arsonists are very rare.
Though investigators do want to keep it from happening again. The State Fire Marshal's office is offering a $5,000 reward for information. Any little detail or eyewitness may become foundational to closing this case.
Here at KREM 2, the stage is set for the 5th District congressional debate between Carmela Conroy and Michael Baumgartner as they both look to replace U.S. Representative Kathy McMorris-Rogers.
Whitney and I will be asking the tough questions of the candidates so you have a better idea on how they'll represent the region if elected.
Watch the debate from 7 to 8 on Wednesday. It will be streaming commercial-free exclusively on KREM 2+.
The Spokane Regional Health District says that this is an ongoing risk and encourages people to stay away from wildlife to prevent any further spread of the disease. Now, they also told us that this risk is small and really only isolated to farming communities. And as of now, no one in the Spokane area has been affected.
The Spokane Regional Health District says that outside of farming communities, other people they have seen contract avian influenza are those that work with fish and wildlife, people that hunt, and those that are outside camping or hiking. We are told contracting the virus really only occurs when in contact with a large volume of animals, which is why Mark Springer from the SRHD encourages people to stay away from wildlife altogether.
Very minimal for people in Spokane County. I would, just mention that this is an ongoing risk. This is present in wildlife. It's not going away. Having, any type of prolonged contact or, with dead or sick wildlife, we want to minimize that risk.
Springer also says symptoms to look out for are mild respiratory symptoms, cold symptoms like congestion and a sore throat, and pink eye. On the animal side, the Department of Fish and Wildlife told us the disease is contracted through fecal matter.
When wild birds are foraging or the chickens are foraging, they will pick it up just by, foraging through their feces.
We are also told scavenger birds and animals may also pick up the virus.
Definitely does move around as waterfowl come back in from their, summer breeding grounds up north.
Heyman says the risk for animal to human contraction is still low, but she emphasizes for people to never handle wildlife they come across.
The Benton Franklin Health District said that they sent samples to the CDC from the 4 agricultural workers, and those are still waiting to be conditionally confirmed. Here in Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
A 40-page indictment shows Dr. William Werschler's dermatology clinic and other businesses received nearly $3 million in COVID relief. Prosecutors say he used about half of that on himself. It's all yellow leaves outside this Sherman Street Medical Plaza. But a COVID fraud strike force found plenty of red flags, too.
Our investigation followed the use of these funds. We followed the money.
The money, about $1.5 million in pandemic business loans. Used improperly, a new federal indictment says, by Dr. William Werschler and 3 of his businesses, including Spokane Dermatology Clinic. The 40-page indictment lays out 2 years' worth of bank activity, federal relief dollars the strike force and U.S. Attorney Vanessa Waldorf tracked.
And then how they were spent on unallowed items such as luxury cars, personal property, and investment properties.
$575,000 on this home in Scottsdale, 2 Porsche sports cars. Personal loans paid off, like one for a storage unit housing jet skis and a boat. And texts like this, an accountant asking the reason to increase a small business loan. Werschler, buy more cars? The accountant replied they marked it for payroll, rent, and business expenses. The indictment laying it all out and charging Werschler with 23 counts that carry big prison time.
Yes, it does. Wire fraud carries significant sentences of up to 20 years in prison.
Werschler's attorneys declined an interview, but sent a statement saying the indictment is not based in fact. Attorney Ron Van Wert says these are false allegations from a disgruntled former bookkeeper in an attempt to reduce her prison exposure after she pleaded guilty to stealing from the clinic. Dr. Werschler denies any wrongdoing and is confident he'll be exonerated. Now, to date, 35 people have been caught and charged as part of this COVID strike force. 20 of those have been criminally convicted so far. The Eastern District has recovered more than $30 million in settlements, seizures, or restitution. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
We're going to hear file AM0005-24.
Which is a proposal to rezone more than 1,500 acres near Schweitzer Mountain Resort from agriculture or forestry land to Alpine Village, which would allow for thousands of new residential or commercial units to be built on that land. During the meeting, it was brought up that Schweitzer Mountain Properties' application had few details about future plans for the property.
So this has been a matter of public record for quite some time, so there's nothing nefarious happening here.
Schweitzer's project representative Daniel Britt says that this area was designated by Schweitzer for future expansion in maps that were submitted to Bonner County nearly 40 years ago. He also wanted to make it clear that with this application, it would rezone all of this area to Alpine Village.
We really are drilling down to approximately 450 acres or so.
During public comment, several community members raised concerns over water supply to those areas eventually and the lack of public roads.
I do believe that the staff report was inadequate in terms of evaluating the impacts of this request.
One of the people who came forward was Susan Dromheller, who is a board member for Project 7B, which is a nonprofit that advocates for responsible land use planning in Bonner County. She says that at this point in time, there are more questions than answers when it comes to these plans.
But I really do think there's legitimacy to denying this, sending folks back to the drawing board to at least provide better information to the public prior to these hearings.
Towards the end of the meeting, Chair of the County Commissioners, Asia Williams, says that she didn't feel comfortable making a decision on the future of the area without more information from Schweitzer and doing research on the history of the area herself.
I'm not willing to, after hearing both sides of this, to make a decision that doesn't have me knowing where this is going, because right after this, you're asking me to basically make a decision of what this will be without some of those questions answered.
I'm KREM 2's Amanda Rowley. The voters pamphlet only tells you so much about our region's candidates.
I am a big supporter of national security.
So I don't plan on changing any abortion laws when I get to Congress.
We all want to know more of who they are and what they stand for. So I get them to spill the tea. What is the most important thing you would want to tackle in Congress? Get more to every story. The Tea with Amanda Rowley begins streaming this week exclusively on KREM 2+.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Tim Pham. Let's get back now to some of the biggest news stories from the Inland Northwest this past week.
She was my baby. She's why I wanted to be a mommy. She was this beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed little angel.
On May 1st, 2017, Shauna Kennedy's sister Jessica was killed by her fiance.
He wasn't my favorite person, but what we saw on social media was that, she was living her best life up in the mountains and out doing things.
Looking back on the situation, Shauna says there were signs that something was wrong.
My mom would say, Shauna, how come Jesse can't talk to me not on speakerphone? And I was like, Mom, people do that these days. They're in a hurry. And she's like, no, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like Eric needs to be a part of the conversation.
But far too often, the signs are subtle.
There had been domestic violence calls to the house. We would have known those things. They wouldn't have been a secret.
According to the Spokane Regional Health District, in 2022, police received an average of 35 domestic violence calls per day.
So when she was killed, my mom asked, can we do something? We can't be the only family that doesn't see the signs.
Shauna started the organization Stop the Silence to spread awareness about domestic violence and to help survivors.
You have to believe every single time. So if your friend says I'm in danger or I need something and it's the 7th time and you're like, resigned because you're feeling like, well, they're just going to go back. You have to believe every single time that they need help and be there for them.
Now, for the 3rd year, Stop the Silence is partnering with another local organization, End the Violence, for their month-long Purple for a Purpose campaign.
It started as restaurants or bars making purple food or drinks. And then this year, we really just grasped that Spokane as a community wants to make a difference and an impact, and they want to support survivors.
For the entire month of October, participating restaurants are selling purple dishes and drinks, and many businesses are donning purple ribbons in support, because like Shauna says, the most important thing is spreading awareness.
There's so many resources in this community and so many great people who are willing to make a difference. So if you're someone that needs help, call that YWC hotline, get a hold of us at Stop the Silence. Use the resources at SRDVC. There's just a lot of resources here and people that want to make a difference and want to help.
Yeah, Vista is getting $85 million for the Lolo Oxbow transmission upgrade and optimization project. Before we get into the specifics of what the project entails, the funding is a part of a federal grant coming from the Department of Energy's Grid Resilience and Innovation Partnerships program, authored by Senator Maria Canwell. As for the work being done with those funds, Avista and Idaho Power Company will be reconstructing a vital power line connecting the Pacific Northwest and mountain regions using designs and materials that make the line more resistant to wildfires and also make outages more rare. The grant also states Avista plans to use drones to string the new lines, which will limit outages during construction. Overall, the grant will cover nearly 50% for this total cost for the project. But for now, reporting here in the studio, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
At one point or another, people might start thinking about their end-of-life process for themselves and their beloved pets. Well, I am told that Fairmont Memorial Association is opening the first ever memorial garden in Eastern Washington for people and their pets to be cremated and laid to rest together.
We are told the Memorial Garden's official name is Timber Run Reserve, and they will be offering their memorial services that range anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000. CEO Dave Ittner told KREM the idea came from a designer out in Littleton, Colorado, and he saw the potential to offer this unique service in Spokane.
I think more and more people do consider their pets
as their children. You know, we have one family that purchased here that I think has 8 German Shepherds that they want to be placed.
People will be able to place their ashes along with their beloved pets in a variety of ways in the garden, like memorial niche walls or in the ground with engraved granite.
Niches are a place for the placement of cremated remains. And so as we spoke about, we'll be able to place both human and pet cremated remains in these niche walls.
He also said this project has been long awaited.
We get the question almost daily from people, can we have our pets placed with us?
Staff told KREM the amenities are meant to bring loved ones together.
This is to sit. There's going to be the water feature and the fire pits where people can sit around the fire and share memories of their loved ones.
Now, I am told that Timber Run Reserve has already received about $100,000 in pre-need inquiries, so they are excited to offer this first ever service in the greater Spokane community. In West Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. For the KREM 2 News Week in Review, remember, you can always watch our latest newscast and weather forecast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just click on the video in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.
At KREM 2, the stage is set for the 5th Congressional District debate between Conroy and Baumgartner.
It's the biggest regional race in years, and it's your chance to hear both candidates answer the important questions for Eastern Washington.
Watch the debate live and commercial-free Wednesday on KREM 2.